Well, on the cyber couch today, two of my good friends, Scott Krenning and Caleb Rainey, are with us. And it dawned on me the other day that we went on lockdown right after the men's retreat, and we never had a chance to kind of rehearse the glory, the beauty, the wonder of what the men's retreat was way back and whenever that was in the middle of March. It seems like 10 years ago now that, my hair's too long and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, Scott and Caleb have been kind enough to join us today. We're going to talk about the men's retreat a little bit. But first, Scott, tell us a little bit, because most of the people we've been having on the cyber couch, we've been talking a little bit about the Corona lockdown. And you've had a lot of shifts all during this time of coronavirus. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
So just from, just a little backstory, my father ended up getting sick and diagnosed with a brain tumor in August of last year. So he seemed okay for a couple months. He had it removed and then they did radiation and everything. But around the first of the year, it really took a downturn. And so he ended up passing away on February 25th. So we had discussed with my mom, if he did end up passing, moving in with her and selling our house. So we're actually in the process of that now. I'm at my mom's house. I'm just in the Florida room doing this because I can shut the doors and the kids are running around outside. But so we actually moved on Easter. And right now the house just hit the market last Friday. So we're doing that. So it's been a weird time, a lot of changes just over the last several months, obviously with the coronavirus. I went from one day they said, okay, we're going to furlough everybody, to the next day we got a letter that said, no, you guys are an essential business because you're bringing food to our people who are essential. So I actually went from thinking that I was going to be off every day to working 5 days a week, just the next day. So it's been really weird. It's been, it's been a sweet time with the family because I get to leave work a little bit earlier. It's been good spending time with my mom, but I can definitely say that I miss my church family. Yeah. And I miss seeing my extended family too, my wife's family. So I missed you guys.
Well, I'm just, I know you were going through that journey, both job, house, dad. I mean, like what a crazy in the midst of a pandemic. I mean, just God bless you, man. Hang in there. We're praying for you guys. And Caleb, you and Grace are both able to work from home. So it's been a change, but not a crazy change for you guys.
Yeah, we've been really blessed to be able to work from home. A lot of people that work at the ministry we work at didn't end up getting laid off, so it's been a huge blessing in that regard. A lot of the change that we've had has just been socially. Zap took up 2 nights of the week for us due to worship and Zap, so that's a big chunk of time that we just don't know what to do with now. And especially seeing everyone there, that aspect of our community that isn't really there anymore. So we've just been trying to keep busy, stay connected with people as best we can during everything. So, yeah.
For people that don't know, Caleb is often the guy running sound on Sunday mornings when you're watching it on YouTube. Caleb's been helping us out and coming in and braving, the germs and daring to be around all the pastors. It's such a challenging country, dangerous life. But anyway, we appreciate his service. So I wanted to talk about the men's retreat. And so I'll start with you, Caleb. Sometimes the men's ministry is viewed as being for older guys. And you were one of the younger guys there, of course. You're a young guy. Let's talk about the interaction with maybe a large group of men, and particularly a large group of guys that are older than you.
Yeah, that is true. I think really until last year. So this year I went, and that was my second year going. To my knowledge, it wasn't until last year where we really started making a big push for the guys around my age to start going. So I know this past year we had a pretty good group of, I don't know what you would say, like 15 maybe younger guys that were there. So yeah, I mean, interacting with the older guys in the church is always good. I mean, I made a point to sit down during meals with some older guys and talk, try and connect with them. I mean, we have a lot of quality guys at the church. I think something that really struck me, it was just the level of spiritual depth a lot of the older guys had. So that's something that, you know, I was kind of surprised by, which, I mean, you probably shouldn't be, like, you know, older, more spiritually mature, been in the faith longer, but still having the conversations, the wisdom that they had, the willingness to open up about their own lives was really touching to me. So
Cool. Scott, you're part of the leadership team of the men's ministry, and there are some amazing men at the helm of that men's ministry, aren't there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There are. I mean, I can say that I've definitely dropped the ball as being part of the leadership there since we sold the restaurant. Yeah, I haven't gone as much. The retreat itself, you know, there's a couple aspects that I'm taking over just to take a few things off the plate to Mr. J and Mr. Sharoni and some of the other guys, like the games and stuff. But I mean, it's getting to know them over the years. Several of them I already knew from Zap and different things, but getting to know Mr. Sharoni, getting to know, you know, Bruce Finke better and some of the other guys that come. It's been a great blessing to me. And Mr. Finke and I would spend an hour and a half together before anybody else would get there every Thursday. So, I mean, I got to know him really well, you know some ins and outs of his family and where his heart is. And it's something that I miss. And it's been, you know, it's my fault for not going more on Thursdays, just with the new job and everything. It's an awful excuse, but I'm going to make an excuse and say that's why. But I'm telling you all right now, I'm going to start going on Thursdays again when it gets back to normal.
There you go. You talked about Bruce Finke. His son Tim is the guy that does all the video stuff on the Sunday mornings for the cyber services we've been doing, and was doing that before we did this, but now so many more people are making use of that. Let's talk a little bit about the men's retreat. Scott, we'll talk with you. I'm trying to harken back to the theme and the overall kind of feel of what Bill Baldwin was bringing to us. Do you remember theme and kind of the tenor of the weekend?
Well, I remember one of the things he said on the first day was he was talking about Saul on the road to Damascus. And he was talking about how, well, the thing that really stuck with me was he said, and I had never heard this before, he said, God is trying to demask us. And I had never heard that. And I was like, I can't believe I never thought of that. But he was saying he was trying to humble us. He said, Saul had a lot of pride and I'm very wise. You know, I know, you know, all things about the Jewish religion, and he needed to be humbled. And so that was the big thing about it. And even, you know, Bill opened up to us and told us a lot of things about his family, a lot of personal things. And it was really wonderful. And then the one thing that I really enjoyed that we did was we then focused on mentorship from the older generation to the younger generation. And Caleb was actually part of the panel that we had. So, I mean, that was wonderful too. So it was neat to see the older guys humble themselves and say, we want to mentor you, but also the younger gentlemen say, yes, we want to be humble and we want to glean what you already know. And it was just really encouraging and really a great weekend.
Caleb, same question, kind of theme, kind of what was the overarching thing you were hearing through the weekend?
Yeah, I think I think that was I think Scott nailed that general tone of the weekend. I think, you know, as men, pride can be an issue. And I mean, you know, that was definitely something with his own stories that he was going over, ways he's dealt with pride in his own life. And yeah, that struck me. I think in my own life, I've dealt with that at different points, and really going in prayer during that weekend, just asking for God to humble me, to show me, you know, the right way to view myself, the right way to view others. And I think relationally, even the right way to view the older generation. Like I did have, you know, some preconceived notions about how I would interact with them that weekend, and a lot of those were taken away through conversations I had with a lot of the older people there. So, yeah, that's kind of what I got from it.
Scott and I have never had to deal with pride, so I'm glad that you dealt with yours,
Oh,
Caleb.
great. Yeah.
Never.
Never. And then, I was really taken by Bill. I didn't know Bill before that weekend. Bill Baldwin, our guest speaker, and I know he had been there the year before. I couldn't go the year before. For people that weren't there, Caleb, talk about just his demeanor, what he brought to the table for us.
Yeah, Bill's such a charismatic guy. I think as a speaker at a men's retreat, you can instantly like respect him as like a man, as someone that's a strong leader and who isn't gonna back down. He's gonna stand up for what's right. But he also has like with his walk with the Lord, such a sensitive spirit about him, and is really willing to go to those really tender moments in the spirit, not afraid to, cry or anything like that, or, hold hands with his brothers and be really affectionate towards people. So it's not, that kind of caricature of manliness that you might think from someone that was raised in the Southern Bible Belt, but it's the real deal with him. He's very much a manly guy and someone you can just hang out with, and he's really fun to be around, especially at a men's retreat. But he had a real genuine sweetness to his spirit, and someone you can definitely look up to in that way. And yeah, definitely a great and powerful preacher. Yeah, loved the way that he went about delivering a message as well. It's really good.
Such a fatherly guy, Scott. What else would you add about Bill and what he brought to the table?
Well, I think Caleb nailed it when he said genuine.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my favorite parts actually was the on Saturday morning. I think it was Saturday morning. It's possible it was Friday evening, but he actually went through each pastor and each elder and named them and their wife and said, "I've been praying for you, and I will continue to pray for you."
Mm-hmm.
And that's something to know. Well, first off, he knows you by name, and you said you hadn't even met him before the week.
No.
So that's a pretty big deal. So you have someone who doesn't even know you, and he's praying for you and your family. That screams being genuine and being loving. And to see that in someone who's speaking at a men's retreat, especially when our leaders are of the men's ministry, or someone like Terry, who's very genuine. You know that he loves you. You know that he's praying for you. I'm sure he's praying for all three of us and our families. And that's something to know, that the people that we respect and we look up to they're thinking about us first. And that's a really big deal. And that's what I took that away from this weekend. And one thing I wanted to say when we were talking about the mentorship and we had the little panel, I thought it was really cool. And I wanted to remind a lot of the guys too. At the very end, we said, we want you to stand up if you're going to be someone who wants to mentor someone from the younger generation. And from what I remember, every single man stood up. So, that was, you could tell from Bill Baldwin being genuine to the other guys standing up and saying, I want to be able to help. I want to do what I can. I want to impart my wisdom. That was, that really tied it up in a nice, tidy little ball at the end, and just made it just a wonderful weekend.
And then, Scott, tell me the value of shooting guns at targets at a men's retreat. Tell me that that's obviously a strategy that's been employed for many years. So take us behind the curtain and let us know the wisdom in that.
Oh, well, if we're going to open up and we're going to pour out our hearts, we also need to go out and we need to be men, and we need to, destroy things. So the good thing is, with Mike Treon and some of the other guys there, we get to destroy things. So it makes it a lot of fun. We get to be genuine. We get to be humble. We get to be loving. But man, at the end of the day, I really want to punch and destroy something too.
Yeah.
It always tickles me. Listen, I've never been a gun guy, and I went to a retreat. Probably the first time that we did the guns, I went to the little driving range, or no, I guess that's not what it's called, shooting range or something. And I pulled the trigger, and it felt like before I even finished the trigger, I had hit the target. I don't know how that happened, but before I'd let go of the, even squeezed it all the way, it was dinging across the field, and I thought, this is dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like the movies. Like, I can duck. That's not real.
Yeah.
And so I said, I don't need this anymore. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
Caleb, you're involved in our worship team and all that, and I just felt like worship was so significant and real that weekend of the men's retreat. And the Sipe family mostly was leading worship. Joel and Max were leading. Something about men in a room worshiping is super dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, with the Sipes leading, some of you may know that they lead all the time at the house of prayer. So whenever they're getting up there, it just feels supernatural. And it feels like
it seems super natural, and it seems supernatural.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Both.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when they get up there, it's, you can tell it's birthed out of doing it for hours as a family. And, the style that they kind of go for a lot of the time is more of that spontaneous kind of G-hop style of really letting the spirit flow during the worship, and really riding those waves, so to speak. So that's awesome. I don't know, with a whole group of guys in there, we were kind of missing that alto, like soprano, like,
no doubt.
It's forgiving. Like, I'll forgive it. It's fine.
I tried to get up there a couple times, but
Yeah, well, it's all right. But there, in the spiritual realm, just feeling, a feeling that I got worshiping with a bunch of men is just felt like, a lot of them were just representing their families even during like worship and during prayer, which seems a little strange, but you really kind of felt like the spiritual weight of being the father in that household, and everything that means, and just being there in their place of worship and their place of prayer, seeking God. Just felt that significance as well.
Yeah.
Final thoughts about going forward as men at Southgate. We care about men's ministry and home groups, like all the little titles we put on things, but going forward as mingling with men, in being mentored, mentoring others, or anything else, or any other kind of key takeaway, maybe for you personally from the retreat, either one of you. I wonder just how you would kind of put a bow on this conversation, either one of you.
One of the things that I've talked about with several people for years, is really being transparent. I want to be someone who, like Caleb, the two times that I've spoken to Caleb have actually been at the last two men's retreats, and I'd like to talk to Caleb more and get to know him better. Yeah. But if I am going to do that, and if I'm going to jump in, I want to be transparent. I want to be someone that he can ask me a question and I can give him a genuine answer. I don't want to be someone who is wearing my mask. I don't want to be someone who, I think we really can pick that up with each other. You can tell if I'm not telling you the truth, if I'm just playing Scott instead of actually being Scott. So that's something that I want to do. And that's something that I think that in the men's ministry going forward, if we could all do that, I think that would be very good for each of us, and also good for our families, because I want my kids to know that they can trust me, not because I'm their father, but because they can trust me.
Awesome. Caleb, thoughts?
Yeah, as far as, the mentorship goes and how we move forward with that, we were having a discussion during the panel of, who should make that first move. Basically, should it be the older guy to the younger guy, or the younger guy to the older guy? And something that I realized out of that discussion is, there's fear on both sides of, like, I don't want this person to judge me. I don't want them to reject me, which was interesting hearing that from someone that was older in the faith, because it's like, oh, I would think that feeling would go away, but it doesn't, so what I gathered from it is, if you're truly wanting to mentor someone, or if you're truly wanting to be mentored, maybe not seek out and be like, can I be your mentor to a stranger, or can I be mentored by you? But something that I want to do, since I do want more older mentors, is just trying to have more one-on-one relationships with them, because I feel like that is a general consensus that we had after that panel is, we need to start with relationship, then we need to start, getting breakfast with each other and just talking with each other. And if that leads into mentorship, that's great. But, we don't have to force it. So for me going forward, I think just, opening the gates to those friendships and, being open to wherever that may lead, so, yeah.
It was a great weekend. We are grateful to God for people like Terry Joggers and Steve Sharoni that kind of pull the thing together, and Bruce Finkus and others. I'm probably leaving important people out when I say that. And a guy like Bill, I've interacted with Bill a couple times since the men's retreat. And he obviously has been on lockdown too. Almost the last thing he's done is our men's retreat. And I was interacting with him on a text this week, and he just gushed back at me, man, I so love your church. And then he rattled off about 15 guys' names, just so love so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. And I thought, Jesus, I have to be more like that guy. I have to be more like that, and so asking the Lord to help me pick that up a little bit, just that little splash that got on me in that text message this week. I thought, Lord, I really want to grab onto that more. Thanks for your time, you guys. Before we let you go, Caleb, 2 awesome things about your wife, Grace. Go.
She's really fun and entertaining to be around.
That's true.
And she is great at keeping me true to myself, and can tell within an instance whether I'm not being genuine, or if I'm, being deceitful or not honest with my emotions or anything like that. So
that's a beautiful thing. Both of your wives grew up in Christian homes, which is awesome. Scott, 2 awesome things about Amy.
She's super beautiful and she's super smart.
There you go. By the way, I just did that so both of you could score points when your wives see that. That's the only reason I asked those questions. Anyway, bless you guys. Thanks for your time. Once we come out of the virus lockdown, Scott's going to be at the men's meetings on Thursday mornings, and those are at 6:30 over in Webster Groves on Thursday mornings. Want to let you know about that. Guys, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for being our guests on the Cyber Couch. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you got
Thank you, gentlemen.